Hello. I'm seriously hoping Mike is here somewhere around here. Maybe he's just adjusting the robe. Is that it? Does it takes you a lot of time. I mean,
it does.
Hair, makeup, all of that.
You got to look pretty.
This, that doesn't just happen.
Yeah, it's not just natural. It needs to be enhanced a bit now and then.
So, and you do a lovely job. Very pretty.
Thank you.
Just remember to smile. So, if it's Tuesday, that means that it's time for the Comic Book School live show.
Yay!
Because at Comic Book School, you all own Tuesday. I have a small piece of it that I'm subletting for you later on. Today is, according to the official notes I have, today is Tuesday, May 10th. So that's awesome. But Today is Tuesday, the 24th. Welcome. I am your substitute teacher, Ruth. Mr. Scalera has given me very specific instructions that include that.
The thing that you have to read.
The thing that I have to read. If you're a first-time creator hoping to break into comics, you have come to the right place. If you are a rising talent looking to level up, you have come to the right place. If you are a well-seasoned pro, you have come to the right place. We welcome you here at Comic Book School, where, we don't just talk comics. We try to teach you something. We talk school. And as I mentioned, I am your substitute teacher, Ruth, here with your TA, Mike.
Hi.
What are you? You're like are you the room mother?
I'm kind of the room mother. I just kind of.
Did you bring snacks?
I'm more like the kid that sits in the back and just kind of makes weird comments.
So, all right. I have snacks. Do you have snacks? Did you bring snacks?
I have a glass of tea.
Yes, me too. So, as you longtime comic book school students will know, Mike is an 3-time Emmy Award winning television writer, a former Wizard editor, a legend among manufacturers of robes.
Exactly. That's pretty much spot on.
Yeah. So the whole thing, Doctor Strange and the robe, they got that from him.
They did. They stole it. I don't even get any royalties for it.
But do you get royalties? That was a stretch. I apologize.
That was a stretch, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible.
It was adjacent to terrible. So tonight we have a very special guest. He is running a massively successful Kickstarter campaign. It has raised over $120,000, and it still has 9 days to go.
Ooh.
And we're going to go behind the scenes. And if you see the artwork, if you see a little bit of the book, you can understand why people are very excited about it. We're going to go behind the scenes of that successful campaign to learn what that team is doing right. And so you can better plan your own Kickstarter campaign. Mike, you going to do a Kickstarter campaign?
I might do one to get a new robe. Maybe.
Wouldn't that be?
It'd be nice. But I do really like this robe.
Okay. Yes. Happy CBS Tuesday. All right. Are we ready to bring on the lovely and talented Sam Sattin?
Yeah, let's do it.
Samuel Sattin.
Do it. Push the button.
Can we do it? If not, I can. There will be a pop quiz, y'all. Oh, yes, there will.
Who's running this thing?
It's not me.
Buddy should have given you control of the buttons.
I know. I like control of the buttons. All right.
Yeah. So Sam is somewhere.
I know. I confirmed.
Well, we saw him earlier.
I know. Maybe he. Well, let's try it.
Maybe he saw what this was and said, "I'm not coming on."
Hey everybody.
There he is.
I was trying to yell from the other room, like, I'm here. I can see you guys. Like, I can't jump through the portal.
Why not?
I tried.
All right.
Tried
Now, as threatened, your substitute teacher has a pop quiz.
Already?
Yes. So hold please while I get it ready. Because that would have been just far too professional. All right.
Yeah.
I haven't been in school for a while.
What's the subject of this pop quiz?
Well, as soon as I can.
Geology?
Apparently, I'm sharing
I will
it.
fail.
Yes. Pop quiz.
Igneous rocks.
Igneous. What's the other one?
In Unico Awakening, Unico is kidnapped by...
C. Oh, wait. Am I supposed to answer these?
No.
Who's supposed to answer him? Me?
But yes, it was C.
That's what I said. C.
Yes. So I wanted... Who is the West Wind? So I know we want a little backstory about like how you did your fabulous campaign and made several $1 million that I think that Mike, how much did Sam say he was going to do for the honor of, how much was he going to give us for the honor of being on Comic Book Show? Was it like 20,000 each, or were you getting like 40,000?
I thought it was 50%.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I heard. I don't know. I can't verify because I
know that's to be agreed on, but I think I'm just going to give you guys every single last bit. I think
that is sweet.
Yeah. So just send us your bank information, and we'll make sure we wire it to you straight out.
You're right over the routing numbers.
Yes, exactly.
In fact, yeah. So yes, you got it right. Congratulations, 100%.
Thank you.
Unico, I'm butchering everybody's names tonight. Unico.
Unico, you're right. It's Unico.
Unico. Mm-hmm. And he was kidnapped by the West Wind.
Correct.
It happened.
Not the West Wing, the West Wind. So why?
So actually, kind of like the West Wing of the Parliament of the Gods kind of decided to kidnap Unico in a way. So Unico is a young unicorn whose unique ability is to be able to spread love and kindness. He's kind of this powerful creature that is a beautiful creature in the tradition of unicorns throughout time.
Like Mike in his robe. That's
yeah. That's exactly the vibe I'm getting. So so same sort of thing, and because of this, the goddess of love and beauty, Venus, ends up getting incredibly jealous of Unico's ability to inspire humankind with acts of beauty, essentially. And she has him kidnapped and taken across space and time until he forgets everything that he was and completely and totally loses his sense of memory and where he came from. And
that sounds sad.
It's awful. It's a horrible thing to do. It's very tragic. And
yes, here's this very sad, horrible book that he's trying to put together. Donate money so you can.
Yes.
If we give you more money, will you make it happy?
Yeah. Well, that's the question. I mean, so it was started by the book is by the story originally was by Osamu Tezuka, who's basically the god of manga in Japan. People in the U.S. know him as the creator of Astro Boy, but the span of his work is just massive. He's done so many incredible things, and Unico is one of those kind of cult figures that was that did kind of make it to the U.S. in certain ways via a couple of films in the 80s. There are two films that made over. That's what a lot of people remember Unico from in the United States. But Unico is actually a book that was made from 1974 to 1976 alongside Sanrio. in collaboration with Sanrio. And so, but Tezuka, he's kind of like a consummate artist and, you know, kind of moody and emotional. And so he made his book, you know, so Unico ended up being kind of this tragic character with a lot of, and it's a complex story about a character who is essentially...
looks like a stuffed animal. It's a very complex dark story about this super cute little thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was never actually finished. And so the story never actually came to an end. It was, you know, like a lot of stories that were created by, a lot of stories throughout time. It was actually, it went on for 2 years, and there were a lot of Unico adventures, but it never actually came to a complete conclusion of what happened to Unico. So whether or not he was able to escape the curse or not and get his memory back. And, you know, that was never decided.
So that's what your Kickstarter is?
Well, I can't say that. I'm not able to talk about that officially, but at the same time, I can say that what we're going to do is we're going to reimagine Unico for modern readers, and we're going to expand the Unico universe in certain ways, and give some of the characters larger roles that didn't have roles as large roles in the earlier iterations.
So I want to sort of circle back. Comic book school, pop quiz. One of the things they like to focus on is how you did it. I mean, so how did you do it? It sounds like this was not a property you created. So how did you come to be creating on it? I guess. And how do you make several $1 million on your Kickstarter campaign? Because, you know.
Yeah. Well, the way that I got into it is actually, so it all comes back to meeting a few friends of mine. One person named Deb Aoki, who runs the podcast Mangasplaining, co-hosts it with a few different people, and she introduced me to somebody named Vince Shortino, who founded Crunchyroll Japan, and he had a relationship with Tezuka Productions that goes back pretty far. And he used to work there, and he's lived in Japan for a long time. And so he told me that they were looking for, they're always looking for pitches for some of their characters, and Unico was one of them. And so I said, can I give it a shot? And he said, yeah. So I did, and I was completely, I kind of lost my mind when they actually ended up accepting that pitch and saying they thought it was a good idea. And then we had to go through the process. There's a lot that came after that, and that's when things started to really kind of take on form and be a lot more of a, you know, turn into a massive scale kind of project where we had to.
So first you had a pitch, then the pitch was successful, and afterwards, when they were like, "Yes, you can do this," you were like, "Cool." Now I just have to figure out how to pay for it.
Well, that, and also the fact that, you know, because I wanted to make sure this ties into kind of like one of my philosophies about comics, like, you know, is that I really wanted it to be a collaborative effort between. I didn't want it just to be like, okay, I'm a Western writer coming in, you know, strangleholding and kind of pushing forward this project. I wanted to work on it with Tezuka Productions, with a Japanese artist, with a team of people that could actually, like, you know, we could actually work on it together and make sure we're bringing it forward faithfully and in homage to Osamu Tezuka. So that was the biggest concern for me, and that's why. So what we ended up doing was.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's not good. Can I just say?
Who's really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, wait. I'm hearing it.
What happened? What happened?
You froze.
You froze.
Oh, I? Oh.
I'm blaming the west wind. I'm thinking it was the west
yes.
wind.
Yes, Venus is interrupting this whole program.
Am I back?
Yes,
You're back.
You are. Okay, so I was just saying that, you know, where I leave off.
Homage, collaborative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what
Mike and I are getting like $30K each, something around there.
So I ended up. We had to find the right team for it, and so we ended up working with. Ended up asking Gurihiru to get on board, and Gurihiru is they're well known in the United States now for working in a lot of American comics, and they won an Eisner for Superman Smashes the Klan with Gene Yang, and at first they turned the project down because they were nervous about working on something from Tezuka, because it's kind of like it's a really big deal for people in Japan to work on a Tezuka project, because it's like he's the god of manga. He's the person who's like, every single store you go into in Tokyo has like a gigantic section, a full section devoted to Tezuka, So it's like they were a little bit, they had to figure out if they could actually, work on it with their own style and stuff like that. But yeah, it required a lot of different people, because we had to bridge a lot of, we had to bridge an international gap as well to kind of get a project like this together. And for the crowdfunding aspect, I personally thought that if we took Unico to publishers, they might kind of be like, well, it's kind of niche. It's this comic from the 70s. We know Astro Boy, but nobody knows Unico. And I mean, because I've been working in comics for a while, and that was my concern. And I thought that if we were to create a crowdfunding project, it could be like one of those things like you won't believe. Unico was one of those things that I thought you won't believe it until you see it. And then once you see it, though, you'll understand how great this project is. And that's why I thought that, we had to bring it to Kickstarter, because I thought that would be, we could celebrate it as an event and everybody could look at it and be reminded of why it's so exciting.
So any tips? So first of all, because I had to actually confirm how to pronounce the last name Sattin, the fact that you're like doing these Japanese names so seamlessly, wow.
Oh.
Because like I will butcher Mike's name. So like I said, we take the attitude, we take, our point of view is, for folks to follow in your footstep and be inspired by you. So any specific things about the Kickstarter, or anything you chose to focus on the Kickstarter, or no, you just wanted to, just make sure people understood that this was, you were trying to do an homage, you were trying to be very respectful of the original thought, but like also,
Yeah.
I don't want to say breathe new life, but I mean, you wanted to give it a nice rebirth. You wanted to give it a nice new home.
Yeah. And and I'm sorry, just I apologize. I'm a little foggy today because I have a little bit of a cold, not COVID, but I have a little bit of a cold. So I'm sorry. So the question is kind of like advice to give in terms of
it's like if somebody wanted to not do the same thing, obviously, but do something similar, like when Mike starts his Kickstarter campaign for the new robe, is there something that you found that the folks in the Kickstarter campaign are really responding to? Because the art is gorgeous. And and the premise is it's huge, and it's also sort of, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it seems a little simple. It's easy to explain. It's like this creature got kidnapped from his home, etc., and will he get back, and what are his ventures along the way?
I would say if you're going to do this is my first Kickstarter, so this is the first one I've ever done, right? So like, so
how's it going?
It's going pretty okay. So it's like, so as a person who's doing this, I mostly work with publishers and stuff like that in the past. So, but working in my first Kickstarter, I would just say, one thing is to really make sure that the people that you have involved in the project are enthusiastic about the actual project. So, because, there's a lot of material, there are a lot of Kickstarters out there, and that's great. But then, you want to make sure that so one of the great things that we saw happen with Unico was that we had these artists come in, like you just said, like these incredible artists like Kamome Shidahama, who does Witch Hat Atelier, artists like Peach Momoko, who's doing X-Men's Demon Days right now, and a bunch of really great artists came in, and Juko Mizuno. And the reason there was no pushback when asking them if they wanted to work on this project. It was just, they were just completely totally like an enthusiastic, absolutely, we really want to work on this. And so it's like, that was to make sure that every single person involved is really bringing that excitement to the project, I think that will make that's infectious, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it brings people. I think if you're excited about your project and everybody's excited about your project, then that can be a big boon for you. It can bring a lot of people over. Yeah, that's one thing I would say. And I think also
Sort of do what you love. I mean, is there anything? It's just do what you love. You know.
Well, plan.
What
you do a lot of planning. Like I was not prepared for the amount of planning that goes into a Kickstarter. I was not. So I mean, like everybody had told me, of course, everybody said it's a lot of work. Just so you know, it's a lot of work. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's a lot of work. So it's like, you know, you have to don't go into a Kickstarter unless you are completely prepared, and even then, you're going to be unprepared.
So what's the work? Is it just responding to people, or putting more material, or answering questions, or
making sure, especially with it, so something like this is a larger Kickstarter because we have a lot of different items that we have to organize. We have to make sure that every single artist their work is in, that they have contracts signed, that that everything is then mocked up. You have to have a really good, you know, designer to be able to put everything together. You have to make sure you can actually have the channel to fulfill all the items that you want to put forward and put out. So there are a lot of moving pieces that you have to consider, because you're like, okay, I have this idea for a cool thing. How am I going to deliver that cool thing to other people beyond just having a cool idea, right? So for this, you know, we have to consider, okay, you know, then also, again, with this project in particular, we're working with a licensor, we're working with people in a different country, so we have a different time zone. So I'm usually, you know, most of my nights working on this were probably around, you know, I live on the West Coast, I live in California. I'd be up at like, you know, basically start working around 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Because everybody in Japan is kind of, that's when they're working, and we're all working late into the night, and we have to kind of make sure that we're putting things back and forth. We had to, you know, so it's a lot of I mean, not everybody's going to be doing that in particular, but just the idea of making sure everybody is communicating, you know. And,
what sort of merchandising do you think, when we do the Kickstarter for Mike's new robe, what sort of merchandising do you think we would have available?
Oh, well, you're going to want to have the robe, and then without the robe. So you're going to want to have, like, I mean, you're going to want to.
No one wants without the robe.
Oh,
no one wants. No one.
I'm saying it's modular. You want to be modular. You know? It's like,
I'm thinking maybe we have like, you know, extra sashes with, like, you know, variant sashes.
Tassels. Buttons. Fuzzy buttons.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, that's nice. Maybe some slippers that I could put on with the robe.
Slippers, there you go.
Yeah, like I don't know, some sort of internal fanning system. Like, I'm trying to think.
Mike has all the fans he needs.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah, but you know, just you have to, like, I mean, and this is something that I wish I could tell myself in retrospect as well. You just have to make sure that you consider all the little things that you wouldn't consider. Like when somebody asks you, okay, so cool, you have this idea. Do you have, how much is it going to cost you to make all this stuff? How are you going to get it out there? And how are you going to make other people get interested in this project? And there are a lot of things you have to think about. And also, you know, working with the right people and finding the right people and listening to the right people to help you bring it forward. Because I think that it's not a good Kickstarter, running a Kickstarter isn't a good thing to be like really stubborn about. Like you don't want to go in there and be like, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to finish this whole entire thing. I'm going to push it forward. You have to be able to go in there and be like, okay, I have to work with a lot of different people. I have to talk to a lot of different people, and I have to listen to a lot of different people and hear what they have to say, especially people with experience who have done this.
So, do we have the link for the Kickstarter campaign? Are we going to put that up later?
I think it's in the private chat. I see it.
The old private chat.
All right.
I hope they answered the question, by the way. I'm not sure.
I mean, I feel as though it did, you know, cool. And then we're going to have, so let me see if I can.
Copy and paste.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There we go. Yep, there it is. So, I would encourage people, I've gotten a chance to look at the art and read a little bit of it. It's just beautiful. And it's that nice kind of, or maybe not nice, but it's a unique combination of, it's like this beautiful, completely accessible, like stuffed animal, oh, so pretty, and like a really deep, dark, sad story. But it's also a dramatic story with a lot of, you know, and yeah, it's like, he got kidnapped, all that trauma,
But he
etc.
brings love and happiness.
So as we're looking at this gorgeousness, and who's this gentleman?
This is Osamu Tezuka, who's the god of manga. He basically started modern manga and anime in Japan.
Nice. And Superman smashes the clan. I remember that book.
Yeah, that's Gurihiro. That's the artist team. They're two women who live in Saitama, Japan, and they're a studio. They call themselves a studio. They're Gurihiro Studios.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's the West Wind there. So that's
right.
She's trouble.
That's the West Wind, and this is this is when we filmed. I went to Japan in April to meet with Tezuka Production and Gurihiro and some folks over there, and we filmed this video there that we were able to talk to the director and different people involved in Tezuka Productions, and they gave us their thoughts about the project.
Do you speak any Japanese?
I do.
Ooh. Give us a sample.
Mushi mushi.
Moshi moshi.
That's all I know.
Hi, I'm just going to this.
Gesundheit. Okay. Now, we usually like to keep these shows about 30 minutes, more or less. So as we're getting towards the end, the final question we usually ask, Mike, you know this one?
Do I? Oh,
Yes.
What's the one piece of advice you wish you could have gotten
earlier in your
career?
Best piece of advice I wish I could have gotten earlier in my career is that comics are collaborative and you should treat them that way.
Good advice.
Yeah, because it sounded like you need a lot of patience, and you need to be. I mean, some of the advice that we got last week, nod, smile and take the note, or nod and take the note. It's like you got to listen, even when you don't like it. But here we have the question: is it safe to say you need to have a marketing plan prior to creating your Kickstarter, or can you just sort of start the Kickstarter and adjust? Hope for the best.
Most people do the latter. Most people just start the Kickstarter and figure it out. What else is a little bit of 50-50? Are you talking when you say marketing, and that means like publicity maybe or something like that, or like so?
It's
like
my experience that a marketing plan, and this was a comment from one of our lovely and talented viewers, but it's my experience that a marketing plan is usually like the details, like you were saying, like this is where we're going to be trying to, and this is the publicity is only one part of it. This is where we're going to try to be selling it. This is what we're going to try to be selling it. This is how we're promoting it. Obviously we have to come on Comic Book School because that will make or break us.
Obviously.
And these decisions.
Yeah, 100%. We work with Superfan Promotions, run by David Hyde, and so that's what we work with for our publicity plan, and they helped a lot with building that kind of foundation for what they thought they could do with the project as pertains to the larger publicity.
And here's the follow-up to that first question.
Oh, right. Knowing your audience, where they shop. Yes, absolutely. I think that can be harder for people like myself who don't really have that marketing bone. But you should talk to people who do, and you should bring them onto your team and be working with them. So it's like, so yes, it's absolutely, I mean, again, this is my first Kickstarter, but,
But hopefully you were working with people.
Yes.
But you were working people who had already Kickstarted.
Yeah. Like I've worked with people who've done a lot of Kickstarters, and that was very helpful. I would have been floundering if not. So, yeah. I'm trying very hard to figure out a way to make like a West Wind joke. Like you would have been blowing in the West Wind and she's trouble. Yeah. No, it was
she's
really
trouble. If a woman completely green, head to toe, comes to you and says, "Hey, come over with me," say no. I thought Star Trek would have taught us all this lesson, but apparently not. You don't know?
Marketing the sizzle, the product is the steak. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So
it helps to be able, I mean, I would think, sort of from what you were saying, it's like you're saying you were very passionate about this product, this project, which absolutely comes through and is great. But then you also have to listen to people who are like, okay, I know you, well, who might say, I know you think it's perfect, but I want you to do this.
Yeah.
And may not even be as tactful to say, I know you think it's perfect. So.
Right. I mean, like you have to, I mean, there are a lot of personalities involved in anything that anybody does, right? But at the same time, like
personalities?
Personalities, what? But yeah, I mean, like I also work I work in animation and writing in animation, and like you have to like learn to listen to a lot of different people and a lot of different voices, because if you decide that you're not going to do that, you're going to end up in your own vacuum, and nobody's going to really want to work with you, right? So it's like for that's been my experience anyhow, and so it's like especially when it comes to things like. There's always this kind of disconnect, I think, between people who are working in creative people working on a project and the people who are working on the marketing end of the project, who love what you're doing, but they need you to be practical about it and pragmatic. And that's not always easy, I think, for people who are really creative to understand. I've had issues with it in the past, personally. And then, but then, once you really figure it out, you're like, okay, I should. Really listening to these people, it only improves everything that you're trying to do. So you just you need to be open to listening to other voices who know more about something than you do.
Mike, do you agree?
I completely agree. I have to listen to people all the time because I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So Mike, who, outside of your wife, who I assume tells you what to do, mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it's collaboration in animation.
Yes,
yeah, it is.
Collaboration. Yeah, I think that and just like, and also even if you're just working on a 2-person team in comics, a lot of that is about listening to, making sure that it's not all your show. It's you're sharing the stage.
Okay. Well, like I said, we try to keep it about 30 minutes, so we're going to wrap up. The Kickstarter, it's beautiful, and I would just, folks, those of you watching at home, go just take a look at the pitches. It's beautiful. You might, if you like books that are beautiful, but but the story behind it is very compelling, and feel free to give Mr. Sattin. Let's go with Mr. Sattin. Let's give some Sattin some money, and
we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the note for the night was, this is a collaboration. So you have to listen to other people and maybe not mangle the words when you talk to them. So, Sam, best of luck. Great luck. Hopefully you can come back in a while and give us an update. Sounds good?
Would love to. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it. Got a great show.
I don't usually, again, substitute teacher, I don't usually do the wrap up.
Well, now you have to.
Okay.
Didn't Buddy give you anything to read?
Wrap up. No. So yeah, I'm okay. No, it's like I said, it's I'm noticing, again, I'm new to, substitute teacher here, but it does seem, it's like you've got a vision, you've got to be passionate about the vision, as Sam so clearly was, but you've also got to be able to listen to other, and here's Sam again.
And there you
go. But you've also got to listen to other people's take on your vision. And if you think about it, while, and Mike, tell me, because you're a far more prolific creator than I could ever hope to be. But it's like, it's, you've got this thing that's perfect, and then somebody says, okay, but I want you to change it all. That might be hard.
It's very hard, but you still got to listen, and you're going to got to get into their mindset and think, why do they want me to change it? And then you might realize, oh, it actually does work better their way.
Yeah. Listening
Collaboration.
to people. Listening to people and doing what your wife says.
Yeah. That's the most important one.
Okay. That's it for us this week. Join us next week when we will be having
another guest.
Yes. Next week is Jesse Sharon, the writer and illustrator of the C and U, CE. I mean, SEE, not like C, but okay.
Not the ocean.
No, like the vision. C into
Oh.
U, which is a whimsical dark fantasy retelling of the Little Mermaid, which is why the C thing is.
Oh, so it is the sea.
Oh, yeah. And this is my thing.
This is the thing that you do with the
This
thing.
is the thing that I do. I do combination. I do comic book trivia. I do a website that apparently needs to be adjusted. About 9:00, you can search for combination. Tonight we are doing trivia about Teen Titans.
Oh.
Because when there's trouble, you know who to call.
Teen Titans. Go.
Tonight we're doing, however, the George Perez, Marv Wolfman relaunch of 1980, which is
good times.
It's a good book. It's a little dated, but it's still a fun read. And with George Perez passing, I know, but some of it, if you read it again, it's occasionally unintentionally funny, but it's still good. And somebody who's only familiar with the cartoons, animated series, it's an easy read for them to do and accessible, I think, and fun.
Yeah.
And most of it's available for free. The older Teen Titans stuff, they are publishing a big omnibus in the next couple of months, but the original individual issues are available for free via the various Comixology, Hoopla Digital, etc. Or you can always, wait for the omnibus, which I'm sure will be gorgeous. It's George Perez art. It's going to be gorgeous.
Absolutely.
All right. I think we're ready to go.
There we go.
Anything? What'd I forget?
You forgot to give the speech at the end saying all the stuff that needs to be said.
There's a speech at the end?